Museums collect things. Art museums collect art. I'll show you some ideas for making a miniature museum and some miniature art to put in it. It can be whatever you want it to be because you'll be the architect designing the building, the contractor building it, the curator organizing the art exhibition, the artist making the art, and the preparator installing the art. A mini museum can be a quick project, but in my experience, they often become a sustained project that kids love to work on for hours over the course of days or even weeks as ideas emerge. Miniature museums begin with us being the architect designing the building and the contractor building it. Cardstock or lightweight cardboard work best for the walls. You can use new cardstock, or you can use parts of old greeting cards, even if they have a bit of writing or pictures on them. We can still use them. Or you can cut cardstock from file folders, which are the perfect weight and come in all kinds of colors. And you can also cut cardstock from old report covers. Walls can be any color. Artists and curators usually decide together what color the walls will be, and the preparators paint them. Lightweight cardboard from packaging also works well for walls. I have some boxes like this, and they all have the same funny shaped hole, but they'll still work because we can use art to cover the hole on both sides of the wall. There are lots of ways to make walls for miniature structures. I'll use this plain white cardstock to show you a few options that are easy and versatile. We can create walls by simply folding the cardstock in half. That simple design gives us 4 separate wall surfaces for art, 2 on the front and 2 on the back. By making a few more sets of these walls and setting them back to back, we can create little rooms and still have 8 wall surfaces for art. If you have cardstock that has pictures or printing on one side, you can use this configuration or arrangement to hide the printed side. Or we can set the walls side by side to create a great big, tiny little art museum. But you don't have to fold the cardstock in half. By folding it in different places, we can get different shapes. This little piece of cardstock has 2 folds in it, creating 3 wall surfaces on the front and 3 wall surfaces on the back. And by changing the direction of a fold, we can change the shape of the wall. All these walls can be reconfigured or rearranged as you like, and they all fold up flat to store them away until you're ready to set them up again. Real museums provide places for visitors to sit down. I made a little bench using a small strip of cardstock folded at each end. And I also have this little piece of wood that happens to be the perfect size for another bench. Miniature museums don't require a floor because whatever we set them on becomes the floor, but if you do want a separate floor, a piece of cardboard or mat board or even a cookie sheet work well. Now let's talk about the art. First, you need to know that a mural is usually a big painting that's painted right on walls or ceilings. The murals on these mini museum walls are inspired by the murals William Perehudoff painted at Intercontinental Packers and that are now in Remai Modern's art collection. In William Perehudoff's murals, he used simplified shapes, crisp, clean edges, flat color, meaning no blending or shading, and few details to paint people that are recognizable as people without being realistic. In the mini museum murals, the same strategies are used, along with an approximation of William Perehudoff's color palette, to create trees and shrubs and plants. Instead of using paint for the mini museum murals, I made a collage using paper, scissors, and glue because it's an effective way to get crisp, clean edges, flat color, and few details. And drawing with scissors, by that I mean cutting out shapes without drawing them first, is an excellent way to simplify shapes. On the other side of the walls, I've put art that's also inspired by pieces in Remai Modern's collection. This is burlap fabric from which I removed some threads, then tied loose knots in the bottom fringe. And a sculpture made with bits of metal and wire is sitting on a display stand called a plinth. I used a small block of wood for the plinth. This is a pencil crayon drawing. Remai Modern doesn't have marker paint paintings in their collection, but I added 2 here. When you're choosing art in your museum, think about how pieces look together and arrange them in ways that make sense to you in your role as curator. Lastly, I added tiny labels with some information about the art. I could continue to add walls and art to make a much bigger miniature museum. This project is a museum, but these simple walls can be used for all kinds of other structures: a lab, a home or a room, a library, a workshop, a studio. It can be as simple or as complicated as you like because you're the artist and you get to decide.